So I'm having a problem with my business, and it simply comes from not having enough sales. Because when you have sales, you can get away with a lot more things because you have revenue coming in. There's a lot of things you can learn while actually trying to fulfill all of those customer orders. But if you don't have customer orders in the first place, you have a bunch of mouths to feed and not a lot of return for it. So it's a very tough situation to be in when you don't have enough sales. So that is a problem I'm facing right now. We've had a few pretty poor months in a row and a number of pretty substantial money losing months in a row, and I want to fix that. And my thinking is I really want to push hard on building a sales team, like properly building out a sales department and getting that demand side of the equation filled out. Now, the business in question is a carpet and steam cleaning operation, so we're cleaning carpets, tile, upholstery, that sort of stuff. And it's a pretty simple business all told. But just like any business, you have two sides of the equation. You have supply and demand. And the demand part is the thing we're having the most problems with right now, because when we don't have enough demand, that actually starts to affect supply because, like I said, you still have employees, you want to keep happy, you want to keep them on board. We've had problems with that in the recent past because we haven't had enough business. And when that happens, you have guys who aren't going out on jobs and then they're upset, and that causes all sorts of problems. So it's a very stressful position to be in for basically everyone. So I'm in the middle of hiring a sales manager for the business, and this person would be in charge of building out a sales team. Now, a lot of these salespeople will probably be remote. We actually have a remote salesperson right now using an overseas agency, and that's really worked well so far. So we want to push harder on that lever because that should be a great way to fix that demand side of things and will give us a lot more flexibility in the future. Because if we have someone who builds out a sales team of, say, 5 or 6 people, you now have a platform that you can direct pretty much any product through, and that can be a quick way to actually drum up sales for those new products. Or if you don't want to push really hard on them, you don't have to, but you have that option regardless while you test out the product. You can have them target a very specific type of customer. There are a lot of things you can do when you have a competent sales team. And for this business, we do want to offer more services in the future. This should be another way to help us out on the demand side of things if we can increase the average ticket size by offering more complementary services. One of those is duct cleaning, which we're starting right now. We actually just got the equipment for it, so we're going to be able to start offering that as well. And if we can double the size of some of these tickets because they're ordering carpet and duct cleaning at the same time, that is great. And we can do more things like that in the future, maybe offering power washing, window washing, and becoming a proper home services company. So that's kind of where I'm looking at towards the future. So building out this sales team, you have the sales department, and then still working on the fulfillment side of things, making sure that's tight and making sure that we're doing a good job with customer reach out and the customer fulfillment and customer follow-up, all of that great stuff. That's still very important. This isn't to say that demand is the only thing to worry about, but when you have enough sales coming in, it makes things quite a bit easier. And for this sales hire, one thing I'm wrestling with is whether to hire someone who is more experienced and has run a bunch of sales teams in the past and has shown success there. They're probably going to be more expensive, of course, compared to someone who's less experienced, but might make up for it in drive and enthusiasm and all that great stuff. Though I don't want to over-allocate towards those things because it's pretty hard to judge, really, until you actually get started with it. When you have someone who's experienced, you have proof that you can point to. They actually have done this before, and it's a matter of executing it again and keeping them motivated. Both sides are going to have motivation issues to sort out and make sure that everyone's incentivized and motivated properly. But it is a tough decision to make between someone who's more experienced and is probably much more expensive compared to someone who is cheaper but less experienced. Now, I think we're leaning towards the more experienced option here just because we don't have a lot of experience ourselves with building out a sales department. So I'd rather have someone who has a good amount of knowledge coming into it, or at least knows what it takes. Even if ours isn't going to look the exact same as maybe the one they had or built in the past, it should be very helpful to have someone who has a really good frame of reference and knows how to interview, knows how to hire, fire, give feedback to the team members, and make sure that everything's moving in a positive direction. And I think that's going to really serve us well as we get this going if we want to get results quickly. And like I said, I think this could be a really powerful platform in that you'd have this sales engine running, and you could run a lot of products through it to then get those things launched much more quickly than if you didn't have a competent sales team. So I really want to focus on that for the long term, even if that is a bit more expensive in the initial months of getting it up. But once it is up, it should really pay off a lot. and I think will pull us right out of the demand rut that we're in. Because it's not as though people don't need cleaning, and we've been doing nice work on the jobs that we have been going to, so that's all been fine. And there have been hiccups, of course. There are always hiccups with business, but I think it's really a matter of getting the word out there, doing a lot more outreach, and getting in front of more customers and building those relationships, especially on the commercial side. We've seen some really promising success there with a number of commercial customers, since they tend to be more recurring. They often have multiple locations that we can serve, and the ticket prices tend to be quite a bit higher. So we do want to push harder on that area, and that's going to be a nice thing to focus on for the sales team, since you have all these businesses out there that we can contact. But getting the hire right for the sales manager is going to be very important for this whole process. It's going to start with that position, and if that position is not hired for properly, or we do a bad job vetting, or we don't get someone acclimated to things right away, then chances are we aren't going to be in any better of a position, although I like to think we would have learned something. But if we do get this hire right, then it should be a lot easier to get the sales team going, build some momentum, and get back to the green. And then we'll have a whole new set of challenges to work on. But alas, that is the business game. If you like this video, definitely subscribe, and I'll see you next time.